I am quitting competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And so are half of or most of your favorite players. And there's a bunch of reasons for this. I'm going to go through my personal reasons, and yeah, we'll have a bit of a discussion, because I think there's a lot of things that would need to change to get me back to playing this game. And yeah, I'd like to clarify very quickly, I am still going to be doing content stuff. When I'm back from my little hiatus break, I will be back to doing content, but I will not be attending or competing at events. I will not be at YCS Bologna, I will not be at YCS Lille, and I won't be at any competitive events unless something drastically changes, which I highly, highly doubt. Right, so why is everyone quitting and why am I quitting? I guess I'll go from a personal perspective. I've got a bunch of reasons. So this is unscripted, Jess. We're just going raw because I feel like that's the best way to get my perspective across. Let's go through it. So, the direction of game design. I've played for 10 years, and the reason I've played for 10 years is I love this game. Mechanically, it was really complex. The card pool, there was so many interesting things I felt like I could do and discover. And yeah, it excited me. I enjoyed the game a lot, and I kept playing. And it doesn't excite me anymore. With the way card design is going, increased, more blanket effects, more charmies, Dimensional Shifter, Spooky Dogwood, and Spooky Dogwood time rules is a whole thing. It just doesn't appeal to me. And then when you combine that with the increasing power level, so the first big point I have is to do with power level with cards like Fiendsmith. So the Fiendsmith engine recently released. We saw it in play at North American Nationals and European Championships. And we also noticed the consistency of top players doing well decreased massively. Especially for European Championships, we saw hardly any of our big top players actually in the top cut of that event. And I think that's because of the power level. Because we have the blanket cards just auto win Dimensional Shifter, and the power level of cores like Fiendsmith, making the game so RNG dependent, making the game more and more RNG dependent, it discourages you from trying as hard, to be honest, or it discourages me from trying as hard, because I know everyone always makes that, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh is super luck-based, but if a game is becoming more and more luck-based, and it becomes harder and harder to top consistently, it reduces motivation to play, because you could be the best player ever, but you're less and less likely to do well, because that's just how the game is, and how the game feels like it's becoming. Also, there's a bunch of other things. I think that goes hand in hand with a couple of other points, such as pricing and Euros. European Championships was a huge one for me, because it felt like there was no interest whatsoever in the tournament. If you look online, I looked online after the tournament, or the morning after, and there's just no interest or hype about the event. Everyone's just, okay, Shifter will try me. No one, or Fiendsmith stuff. The hype is gone. Especially in comparison to last year, or even not European Championships, even events like YCS Bologna, the hype was just there. People were excited about the game. People liked what they saw. And just all the hype and excitement is gone. And on top of that, pricing is pricing is one of the most frustrating ones, because it feels like Konami don't care. The format is becoming increasingly bad, and I don't like the direction of card design and the direction that we're heading in. And if you combine that with the fact that I can put hundreds of hours into perfecting my deck for a YCS, go like 11-1, let's say in Swiss, lose first round of Top Cut, and I get a playmat that's impossible to sell. Or let's say I do go to a YCS and I do win I top and I win the first 2 rounds of Top Cut. I'm in top 8. I get a Nintendo Switch, which doesn't even cover the cost of travel and definitely does not compensate me or make me feel cared about for the hundreds of hours of gameplay and testing I put in to be prepared for this event. It just feels like I'm not cared about as a player. And I think a lot of people feel like that. We can see players quitting in their masses and switching to other card games like Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic, One Piece, because the pricing is better. It does feel like the company cares a bit more. And then on top of that, even outside of pricing, you have things like Pokemon promote their World Championships, like World Championship players, like more with like the Worlds decks, post-Worlds. Magic have the Hall of Fame. And just systems like that where it feels like you're encouraged to be competitive. And in Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels like you're not encouraged to be competitive because you're not rewarded for being good at the game. Like, they don't care if you're good at the game. Like, I guess one of the examples that pushes it for me is I topped the World Championships last year. I made top 8 and then I lost first round of top 8. I walked out empty-handed. I made it to the highest level. If you can make it to the highest level of the game and then top the event at the highest level of the game and walk out empty-handed, it does leave a bit of a sour taste about how the company cares about their players. There are other reasons, of course. There's a couple. Actually, one point I want to bring up YCS is it feels more rewarding to play locals. Like, spending hundreds of pounds and hundreds of hours to go to a YCS top, and where I could go to a 10-man locals, and it feels more rewarding to do well at that because of the pricing. Like, that sounds ridiculous. That coming top 32 in a 2,500 player event feels worse than getting first at a 10-man event. Like, come on. I'm not going to be stopping playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Entirely. I'm still going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Casually. It's still mechanically the game that I fell in love with, but I'm done competitively. I'll still be making some content about Yu-Gi-Oh! But I'm also going to make my content a bit more personalized when I come back to it. So it'll be more focused on, well, me, rather than competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I've lost all interest. Like, they've lost me. There are other factors as well, things like hate and negativity in the community. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is notorious for it, and it does take its toll. I think in comparison to other card games, where other card games just feel more welcoming to players. Don't get me wrong, I love the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, and I have had an amazing year, and I'm super grateful to everyone who supported me and my community. But yeah, seeing the general negativity within Yu-Gi-Oh! Is another discouraging factor. But yeah, so to conclude, design and cards becoming so powerful that the game is becoming more and more RNG dependent, and players are able to top less consistently. Add to that pricing so you're not encouraged to top in the first place, and just generally being, you're not being encouraged to do well in the first place. The combination of those factors, and then it feels more rewarding to enter a locals. That is the reason that myself and many, many Yu-Gi-Oh players are just leaving the game. And I think, although Yu-Gi-Oh has always had these dooming moments where it's like, oh, the game's over, Links are gonna kill the game. I don't think right now is going to kill the game. But I think irreparable damage has already been done to the player base. Like, I thought I'd always be like the last man standing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because even when people were dooming about other factors, I still love the game. But they've gotten me. So, who knows? We'll have to see. I don't think this is the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! But I think this is, unless something drastically changes, I do think this is a step in a very, very bad direction. Anyway, that's it from me. I look forward to seeing everyone in future content. And yeah, stick around.